So just like my grandma's old ugly pacer, you know, I was stuck in the mud and the muck. And by the way, her pacer was an ugly gold color. I don't know if I mentioned that. Just, I'll never forget the scene of that ugly gold pacer just up to the wheel wells and up to the door, you know, where the doors open in mud. I was that stuck. I needed help getting pulled out. So what happened? How did this get resolved? Well, thank the good Lord, I did Portland BLT Week this year. Fall of 2019, I did Portland BLT Week, and I did it the first time in 2017. And there's a fun story how Portland BLT Week started. If you go to the Zac Shomler channel and you watch It's a New Day Part 2, you can watch in that video. I tell in the middle the story of how I started Portland BLT Week, the secret origin of Portland BLT Week. But I did it the first time in 2017. I had a cameraman holding the camera and helping me. But in 2018, I did it all by myself. All of the videos, all of it by myself. That's just what I had to do. So I carried around my lights. I figured out the lighting. I figured out the sound. I set up the camera shots. I did all the filming. I did all the editing. I took all the photos that you see. I did it 100% by myself. And something absolutely magical happened. My son Zach watched some of those videos and he said, "Dad, your videos are finally okay." And man, some of you may be discouraged, to have your son tell you, that the videos are finally okay. But I know what a perfectionist Zach is. And if he thought my videos were okay, everyone else would think they're good, if not great. And I about jumped out of my skin with excitement, like, wow, I finally made good videos. I know the last video I made, the last one I filmed for Portland BLT Week 2019 for MF Tasty Food Cart. Man, I'm proud of that video. You can go to portlandbltweek.com and it's the video right at the top, at least right now. You can go to the Portland BLT Week YouTube channel. I'll put a link to that video below. And I'm so proud of that video. It's like, okay, I'm actually getting it. I had all the parts nailed. So that was really helpful. Like, okay, Zach said that my content is okay. That gave me a lot of hope. And then my amazing wife, I can't say enough about her. She is super wise. She's incredibly gorgeous. She's my partner and my lover and my best friend and my sweetheart and my confidant. She's just amazing, and she has been so helpful to my growth. And the really cool thing is she says that I've been incredibly helpful to her growth, which is just phenomenal. So one of my struggles is I struggle with not feeling good enough. I have for a long, long time. It's one of the wounds I got from my dad in my childhood. One of the things he taught me, you get wounds and gifts from your parents. And I don't know if it's a wound or a gift, but he taught me to work really hard. And sometimes that's been maybe a bit of a wound for a while in my life, but I think I'm managing that better. He taught me to work really hard, but he also taught me that no matter how hard I worked, I would never be good enough. Now in my 20s, I had a lot of therapy, but I was dealing with the stuff from my mom because, my dad, he was not a bad guy. He didn't mean anything by it. He was doing what he knew. Whereas my mom, on the other hand, I would encourage you, if you want to understand my mom, read M. Scott Peck's book, People the Lie, A Psychological Study of Evil. I suffered every kind of dark abuse you can imagine, and some kinds of dark abuse you don't want to imagine at the hands of my mom. And I spent a good part of my 20s, a number of years in my 20s in counseling, just dealing with that stuff so I could not only survive, but then thrive. I'm so grateful for Dr. Brian Van Drott. He really helped me. That counseling in my 20s was life-changing. But dealing with that stuff, in my emotional basket, there was bigger fish to fry than feeling like I wasn't good enough. I was just trying to survive from all the abuse. And just as a side note, if you've had emotional or physical or sexual abuse as a child and you've not gotten counseling and dealt with it and recovered from it, man, I highly encourage you to do that. I know it can feel shameful and embarrassing, but if I can heal, I've had all of those wounds. If I can heal from all of that, and I'm not to suggest I'm 100% healed, but I'm way more healed than I was. I encourage you to go do the same thing because it really is helpful, and it's wounds that you don't need to live with them being open. You need to go take care of those and get some help. Anyways, like I said, I struggle with not feeling good enough. And then I have a real tender spot when it comes to criticism. Summer of 2011, I announced that that's it, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to become a writer, a speaker, and an author, and I had hope. For the first time in a while, there'd been a downward spiral in 2010 and 2011 in our lives. Things were getting bad. I'll get to that in a second. And finally, okay, I have a game plan. That's it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to build a brand out of thin air and a new career. And I had a lot of opposition. A lot of friends and family tell me, who do you think you are? What are you kidding? You can't type. You're literally a two-finger typist. And I am to this day. 2 books published, lots and lots of articles. I am a two-finger typist. People that knew me really well said, you're bad at grammar, you're bad at spelling, you don't know punctuation. What makes you think you can be a published author? Yeah, and that's all true. And I became a published author anyways. But I got a lot of criticism. I got really attacked. Through it all, the first year was really rough. About 6 months into my journey, my friend Kevin came alongside me, and he's been a strong encouragement. Just an incredible blessing to me. But early on, he came around the middle of 2012. So I went about a year of announcing it until I finally got that encouragement, other than my son Zane. My son Zane, may he rest in peace, he always said, you're doing great, Dad, just keep going. You're doing great, Dad, just keep going. And I can't tell you how much that, always his bright smile, and you're doing great, Dad, just keep going. And I'm telling you, you need people that will cheer you on. I own cheerotherson.com, and, I've got the mug, Cheer Others On, and, I'm launching a brand, launching a company, actually, Shirts for Your People. If you are building a brand or building a company, we got Shirts for Your People. You can go to shirtsforyourpeople.com and send an email off to T-Shirt Dave to get a quote. And someday I'll have a little Spark to Bonfire store up there. And one of the shirts I'm going to sell is Cheer Others On, because that's a core value of mine, deeply ingrained core value. And now no one else may buy the Cheer Others On shirts, but I'm going to buy one, and I'm going to have a Cheer Others On shirt. Because it's so important to have people cheer you on. And early in that journey, right after summer of 2011, that's it. I'm going to become a writer, speaker, and author. And, if Bourdain can get paid to eat and drink, so can I. And I had hope. And I sat down with, at the time, a dear friend, and, and I was kind of telling him about it, and he's kind of giving me grief. And I said, I was kind of joking, and being silly. I'm going to become rich and famous. And man, I felt his response, I felt attacked. Like, what are you doing? You've lost your calling. You've lost your moorings. You don't want to be rich and famous. And it really wounded me for a long time. For a couple of years, I carried that, and it was really awful. And to give some context, I grew up really poor. My dad worked, he was an Orange County deputy sheriff, and he worked 2 shifts often. He did 1 shift to pay the bills, and then he worked 1 shift to buy materials to build this house. The whole time I was growing up, he built a house from scratch, a 7,000 square foot house, and there was never a home loan. All the materials that were there, either we literally collected them, the rocks from the side of the road, the sand from the riverbed off of El Toro Cutoff, or he would buy them out of cash. The whole time fighting my mom because, man, she was really good at inappropriately spending money. Oh my goodness, she was terrible. But he built that, and so there wasn't a lot of money for anything. I'm not saying it's right, but in fact, it's not right, and it's painful. But we never in my childhood took a family vacation. I took 2 trips, a couple-day trips with my dad once, and a couple trips with my mom that my grandma funded. But we never took a family vacation. I often would wear dirty clothes. When we first moved out to that property, when I was 3 years old, there was for a long time, there was no running water. There was no electricity. We had kerosene lamps. So, forget washing machine. My mom would she'd maybe once a month or once every 2 months go to the laundromat. She'd stuff her little toilet with all the clothes, and we'd spend all day at the laundromat. That's a whole nother story. But, I would often have to wear dirty or tattered clothes, and that was really hard on me. And so, I kind of have a soft spot. I know what it's like to not have money. And then, I after school, I went into banking and did okay in banking. And then I spent a while in the nonprofit world. And before I had the career I have now, I spent about 10 plus years in the nonprofit world and about 10 plus years in the banking world. But the times I was in the nonprofit world, I didn't make a lot of money, which was fine. I changed a lot of lives and helped a lot of people. And I feel very good about the work I did there. But, we didn't make a lot of money then. And in 2007, I was done. I'd burned out on the nonprofit world and was done with that. And I went back into banking. I started the first Monday of 2007. Scott Mattern, he took a chance on me and gave me a job maybe he shouldn't have, but he figured I could do it. And I worked really hard in 2007, and and I made about $58,000, which was pretty incredible. That was about as much as I'd made, early in my banking career, and I was really excited about that. 2008, I worked really hard. I doubled my income. I made about $122,000 in 2008, and I worked really hard. When I say I worked hard, what I mean is that I would spend a lot of nights and weekends there in the office. I'd wear a suit to work and all day seeing clients in my suit. Then I get back to the office and I learned that the air conditioning, went off and it went to a higher temperature at 8 o'clock at night. The lights went off at 9 o'clock at night. You had to go manually turn all the lights back on. And I learned, when the power went off, okay, wait a minute, not power, when the air conditioning went off and went from a normal temperature to like 80 degrees, okay, time out, I need to put on some shorts. So I'd bring a change of clothes and I'd put on shorts and a t-shirt and work at night at the office. And I was often there 3, 4, 5 hours on Sundays. But my income doubled again in 2008. And then 2009, man, that was my best year ever, $256,000. And I worked really hard. But then 2010, March of 2010, it's like the spigot got turned off. And my W-2s, 2010 and 2011 were more than 10 times less than my 2009 W-2. And, that's not easy to do. You do the math on that, and it was brutal. And when I said we were standing in a dirt driveway and we were moving out of a 5-bedroom house that we were 5 months behind in rent. We just couldn't afford the rent. My ex, bless her heart, had been out of work for a year and a half. And it was just a brutal time for everyone financially, the Great Recession. And we were moving out of that house into an unheated, unfinished one-car garage. We were battling homelessness. And I finally had hope, like, here's how I'm going to battle out. I have to work really hard and battle out of this. And I'm going to put a lot of time and energy in, like I did for banking, like I did when I was in the nonprofit world. But this time I'm going to be self-employed and own it so that someone in a corporate office can't make a stupid decision I disagree with. If there's stupid decisions made, it'll be the person in my mirror. And so I had hope. And so when I told that person, hey, I'm going to be rich and famous, I was moving into a garage and had I still do have some shame. I had a tremendous amount of shame about that. Felt like I failed my kids. And for them to tell me, you're abandoning your calling, you've lost your moorings. I felt like my calling was to take care of my family. And I still had dreams I wanted to accomplish and things I wanted to do, like become an author. I'd always wanted to do it and thought, what the heck, I might as well go for it. I've got nothing left to lose. I'd been through all that misery. And in there somewhere, I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't have the language for that. But I soon after I started my first brand, I was already helping people, early on, food cart owners. I remember January, February, March 2012, already right from the beginning, I'm helping food cart owners figure out, well, here's how you do social media, and here's what you can do to grow your business. And that brought me so much joy. And I'm telling you, that criticism just rocked me to the core. So when you feel like you're just not good enough, and then you have a tender spot toward criticism, it just becomes a vicious cycle that's just exhausting. And I am so grateful. My sweetheart, she can challenge me in a way that that doesn't trigger either of those, the old wounds of criticism, and that she doesn't trigger the, oh, you're just not good enough. I think it's because she's so kind. I really respond well to kindness. I don't respond well to yelling or anger. And she's just so kind. And she said to me, now we're finally back to the video. Sorry for that long tangent, but I want to let you know the heartache that I was laboring under. And so just about a month ago, Zac had said, hey, Dad, your videos are finally okay. And about that time, my sweetheart came alongside me and she said, I know you're really struggling with videos and, and all of that. And she said, why don't you just put some content out there? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I finally heard it. It's like, that's what I teach people. Get started, then get better. And as you're putting out content, you get better. I just need to get back to putting out content. Then I'll figure out these upper thirds and middle thirds and lower thirds. I'm being sarcastic there if you know about making videos. And someday I'll have a really cool Mark to Bonfire, intro, but I don't need that intro to get started. I'm working with what I have. And I thought, okay, I can do this. And so this is that first video. And the videos will get better as I go along and as I learn. But you got to start where you are and move forward there. And practically, if there's 2 lessons that I want you to learn from this video, if you're building a brand or building a business, pursuing life change, here's the 2 lessons. Sometimes you'll be the kind of stuck where you just need to take a different route. You're not giving up on your destination. We were here stuck and trying to cross this little ravine on Toro Rd and trying to go this way. And the only way to go this way was to go way around on Lindell Road, but eventually we got back to the same place. We were able to get into Lake Elsinore, to get to the Stater Brothers, to buy some groceries. But we had to go the other direction for a little bit to get down that way to still get to the same Stater Brothers. So sometimes when you're stuck, you need to go a different direction. And sometimes when you're stuck, you're the kind of stuck where you need someone's help to pull you out of the mud and the muck. You need that emotional connection that's inspiring. You know, I don't care if it's reading a book or if it's a personality that inspires you, like Anthony Bourdain inspired me. I mentioned Bonfire Caravan. I'm in my second big push. My first big push professionally for this new career I have was 2012 to 2015, 12, 13, 14. Those 3 years worked really hard, and I took my brand from nothing to wherever it got to. And now I'm in the midst of my second big push, fall of 2019 through fall of 2020. I'm going to take my brand from where it is to the next level. I'm really excited about it. And I started a community called Bonfire Caravan. You can go to bonfirecaravan.com if you want to be a part of it. It doesn't cost any money. The requirement is you cheer others on and encourage them. It's the community I wished I had when I was in my first big push, because particularly that first year and a half, I announced things, summer of 2011, and I got started January 1, 2012, and from summer 2011 to summer 2012, that was really a tough time. A lot of discouragement and criticism, and Bonfire Caravan is that community I wish I'd had back then. So if you feel stuck like that, that's a resource I can offer to you. I'd love to have you be a part of it. But man, just if you're stuck, ask yourself the question, am I the kind of stuck where I need some outside help to get pulled out of this mud and this muck? Or am I the kind of stuck where I just need to take a different route? All right, I think we've covered it. That's the video, the first Spark to Bonfire video for the Spark to Bonfire channel. Man, I'm telling you, I'm so excited I finally got it. First pickle out of the jar is always the hardest. So that's the end of Get Started, Get Better, Get Stuck. I'm Zac Shomler. I believe in the beauty of your dream. Go live the life you imagine. Just like the mug says.